Hey guys, so today we're going to go through DHOAS. Being an ex-veteran myself, we've got a lot of mates that have asked me questions about DHOAS and how it's going to benefit them or if it's not. Now, when I had DHOAS a couple of years ago, unfortunately it wasn't as good, and that was only because interest rates were so low. So one of the main things to keep in mind when we do get DHOAS, and what we do see is when interest rates are up, DHOAS's repayments will be higher, but when interest rates start going lower, your DHOAS is actually going to get a little bit cheaper. It's a good thing, to be honest, because at the end of the day, if your interest rates are lower, the less you're giving to the bank. But if your interest rates are higher, yes, you're paying more, but you're also getting more of a subsidy. Now, the main thing to kind of keep in mind right now is DHOAS has completely changed for 24 to 25. There's been new rules, new credits, and what we're going to go through is show you exactly like what to kind of keep in mind and some of the main things to kind of have a look at. So with DHOAS, 3 banks, as you can see here, it's Defence Bank, Australian Military Bank, and NAB. You can go to those 3 banks. Now, what I have previously used was NAB, but more and more what we see is Australian Military Bank and Defence Bank being much more competitive against NAB, and really just comes down to your interest rate and what other kind of products such as a redraw or an offset that's going to be applicable to you. One of the main things to kind of make sure on all of this is that each situation's different. It's probably a better way to say it. And you're better off to go to your broker or go to your bank manager and actually speak to them and find out what's going to be the best possible outcome. I'm giving you a point of view from a broker's point of view, but yeah, look, that's probably the best thing to kind of keep in mind is that it's going to be different with different people. One of the main things to kind of keep in mind is there's a difference between people who just discharge, and then there's going to be a different set of policy for people that are medically discharging as well. One of the main things with DHOAS, as you can see here, you've just got to start, you have to have of service after July 1st, 2028. And this kind of breaks down as to like what tier you're going to be eligible for. So nowadays you don't need to do the full 4 years to be eligible for tier 1. 2 years permanent full-time service is what's going to get you eligible. Once you've done your 4 years, you will be eligible for tier 2, and then anything above 8 years full-time, you're up to tier 3. And you can see right now it's actually pretty good at the moment. It is a little bit less than this right now just because we just had that interest rate drop. But yeah, look, it is really good at the moment. And you can see even tier 1, an extra $526 towards your mortgage. It's going to help out a lot. Main things to keep in mind. So your subsidy, if you're on tier 1, if you get a home loan more than $400,000, it caps out at that figure. Okay, so if you get a home loan of $600,000, at the end of the day, if you're on tier 1, you're only going to get $562. And it just works in different tiers. So if you're on tier 2 and you borrow $800,000, they're only going to give you that subsidy up to $790. Any dollar more than that, you're not going to get more of a subsidy, okay? They're probably the main things to really keep in mind. The beauty with this new DHOAS policy is that you don't have to use it straight away whilst you're in, and you don't have to use it a year after discharging. So you could have discharged 5, 10, 15 years ago and be eligible for this. The way it kind of works as it stands, once you discharge out, you will accrue a certain amount of years or a certain amount of credits, and then you will get that back as the DHOAS subsidy. If you've normally discharged, you will get tier 1, and then if you've medically discharged, it just depends on how many years you've done. So I want to go through the qualifying period and kind of go through it all. Okay, so 2 consecutive years for permanent members and 4 years for reserves. Probably the main thing is if you have gone overseas, you're going to get more credits accrued, and this is where it kind of comes down to just kind of working through and speaking either to your broker that knows DHOAS or speaking to the bank manager that knows DHOAS. And as you can see here, if you've done a 6-month stint, you're going to get an extra 3 years of your DHOAS. Okay, so it is really good, depending if you've done some trips or anything like that. One of the main things that what we're going to work on today is just working out what your subsidy calculator is going to be. So what I want to go through is the subsidy calculator. So this is how you're going to figure out how much subsidy you're going to get from defence. The way I kind of work through this is I'll jump onto this subsidy calculator. First, I'll figure out what kind of tier I'm on. So I'd go into here, interest rates and subsidies, and I'll figure out what tier I'm on. So as it stands right now, if I was to discharge out after doing 8 years, after doing 4 years, I'd be getting just shy of 600,000. So that's the maximum for my tier. Anything above that, I'm not going to get any more money. But let's just say I am buying an apartment for 500k, and we'll work through this. So I need to borrow 500k. I'll work with some round figures here. So what we'll do, we'll go back to the subsidy, and my bank manager has said, let's figure this one out. My bank manager said, I'm borrowing $500,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my $500,000 here. Now, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. You don't put the interest rate that your bank manager has given you or your broker has given you. You actually have to enter this rate. So this is their base rate. More than likely, you should be getting a better interest rate than this, but that's the rate we put in. So we put 6.69. And then that's going to tell me what my subsidy is going to be. So $663 per month. And then for how long I've done will depend how many months or how many years I'm going to get this this tier for. Okay, awesome policy at the moment. Really good for a lot of ex-veterans in the Defence Force. Give us a call. It does get a little bit confusing if you're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and if you're medically discharging, or if you just if you discharged 10, 15 years ago. So give us a call. I can always help out. It is probably the main thing that I will say though is give Defence DVA a call. They're the ones that are going to help you out, and they're going to be able to kind of say what you're entitled to and what you're not entitled to. Cheers.